Hi friends, this is Dr. Vinay Baukar. The topic for today's video is HIV or AIDS and current scenario. Come on, let's start. Friends, please notice this video is for informational purpose only and should not be used as a replacement for expert medical advice. Friends, first let us see the definition of HIV. Human immunodeficiency virus or HIV is a retrovirus that causes acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, that is AIDS, a condition in humans in which progressive failure of immune system allows life-threatening opportunistic infections and cancers. Infection with HIV occurs by the transfer of blood, semen, vaginal fluid, pre-ejaculate or breast milk. Within these bodily fluids, HIV is present as both free virus particles and virus within infected immune cells. Guys, now let's see the anatomy of HIV virus. Viral envelope. HIV particles surround themselves with a coat of fatty material known as the viral envelope or membrane. Glycoprotein. Projecting from this are around 72 little spikes which are formed from the proteins GP120 and GP41. Capsid. Capsid or the viral core is usually bullet shaped and is made from the protein P24. Strands of RNA. Also held within the core is HIV's genetic material, which consists of two identical strands of RNA. Reverse transcriptase. Inside the core are enzymes required for HIV replication called reverse transcriptase enzyme. Friends, now let us see the pathophysiology of HIV. HIV infects vital cells in the human immune system, such as helper T cells, specifically CD4 T cells, macrophages, and dendritic cells. HIV infection leads to low levels of CD4 T cells through a number of mechanisms, including direct viral killing of infected cells and killing of infected CD4 T cells by CD8 cytotoxic lymphocytes that recognize infected cells. When CD4 T cell numbers decline below a critical level, cell-mediated immunity is lost, and the body becomes progressively more susceptible to opportunistic infections. Friends, opportunistic infections can affect any part of the human body, like brain, eyes, mouth and throat, lungs, stomach, liver, and reproductive system, producing different kind of diseases. Guys, now let us see the transmission of HIV. HIV can be transmitted from an infected person to another through blood, including menstrual blood, semen, vaginal secretions, breast milk. Blood contains the highest concentration of the virus, followed by semen, followed by vaginal fluids, followed by breast milk. Now let us see The activities that allow HIV transmission. First, unprotected sexual contact. Second, direct blood contact, including injection drug needles, blood transfusions. And third, mother to baby, before or during birth or through breast milk. Sexual intercourse. In the genitals and the rectum, HIV may infect the mucous membranes directly or enter through cuts and sores caused during intercourse, many of which would be unnoticed. Vaginal and anal intercourse is a high risk practice. Oral sex. The mouth is an inhospitable environment for HIV, meaning the risk of HIV transmission through the throat, gums, and oral membranes is lower than through vaginal or anal membranes. There are, however, documented cases where HIV was transmitted orally. So, we can't say that getting HIV infected semen, vaginal fluid, or blood in the mouth is without risk. However, oral sex is considered a low risk practice. Sharing injection needles. An injection needle can pass blood directly from one person's bloodstream to another. It is a very efficient way to transmit a blood-borne virus. Sharing needles is considered a high-risk practice. Friends, next mode of transmission of HIV is from mother to child. It is possible for an HIV infected mother to pass the virus directly before or during birth or through breast milk. Breast milk contains HIV, and while small amounts of breast milk do not pose significant threat of infection to adults, it is a viable means of transmission to infants. Guys, please remember, the following bodily fluids are not infectious. First, saliva. Second, tears. Third, sweat. Fourth, feces. And fifth, urine. Friends, now let us see the investigations to diagnose HIV. Two tests are used to diagnose HIV infection. They detect antibodies to HIV. ELISA, that is enzyme linked immunosorbent assay. If it is negative, no further tests are needed. Western blot assay. It is used to confirm a positive ELISA test. It can take up to 6 months, usually 3 months from the time of exposure to HIV until antibodies can be detected. During this period, the person can spread infection to others. HIV infection is diagnosed only after 2 or more positive ELISA tests are confirmed by a positive Western blot assay. At least 5% of HIV positive people are described as non-progressors. These people have lived with the infection for 10 to 15 years, but they have stayed healthy and do not have declining CD4 cell counts. As we all know, there is no cure for HIV or AIDS, but a variety of drugs can be used in combination to control the virus. Each of the classes of anti-HIV drugs blocks the virus in different ways. It's best to combine at least 3 drugs from 2 different classes to avoid creating strains of HIV that are immune to single drugs. The classes of anti-HIV drugs include non-nucleoside reverse transcriptase inhibitors, that is NNRTIs. Second, nucleoside reverse transcriptase inhibitors, that is NRTIs. Third, protease inhibitors, that is PIs. Fourth, entry or fusion inhibitors. And fifth, integrase inhibitors. These drugs disable a protein needed by HIV to make copies of itself. Friends, now let us talk about today's scenario. There were 35.3 million people living with HIV in 2012, up from 29.4 million in 2001. The result of continuing new infections, people living longer with HIV, and general population growth. New HIV infections overall have declined by 33% since 2001, and in 26 low and middle income countries, new infections have declined by 50% or more. Still, there were about 2.3 million new infections in 2012, or more than 6,300 new infections per day. Although HIV testing capacity has increased over time, enabling more people to learn their HIV status, the majority of people with HIV are still unaware they are infected. Women represent about half, that is 52% of all people living with HIV worldwide. HIV is the leading cause of death among women of reproductive age. Gender inequalities, differential access to services, and sexual violence increase women's vulnerability to HIV. And women, especially younger women, are biologically more susceptible to HIV. Young people ages 15 to 24 account for approximately 39% of new HIV infections. Globally, young women twice as likely to become infected with HIV than their male counterparts. Friends, now let us talk about prevention of HIV. Effective prevention strategies include behavior change programs, condoms, HIV testing, blood supply safety, harm reduction efforts for injecting drug users, and male circumcision. Additionally, recent research has shown that providing HIV treatment to people with HIV significantly reduces the risk of transmission to their negative partners. And the use of antiretroviral based microbicide gel has been found to reduce the risk of HIV infection in women. Pre-exposure antiretroviral prophylaxis, that is PrEP, has also been shown to be an effective HIV prevention strategy in individuals at high risk for HIV infection. Friends, I hope you liked my video on HIV and current scenario. Please don't forget to comment or subscribe to my channel. Take care guys, goodbye.